Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Welcome to another edition of Around the League with Nico, a more stats-based edition of Around the League with Nico. I'm your host, the Cosmic Night Fury, Nico Suave Regoli, and I am here joined today by one of the Fandom Fight co-heads, Mr. Kaleb Koho himself. How are you this fine evening?
I'm doing pretty good, Got a lot of matches to talk about, a lot of stats, and some fun questions I saw in the comments, so this will be fun.
Oh, yeah. So we had 5 matches this week, plus one that we're going to just carry over from last week. We're going to do it very quickly. That match being Robert the Hobbit Parker brings his movie Warzone record to 2-0 with 1 TKO over El Diablo Australiano Grant Gregory, who is now 1-1 with 1 TKO. This match was very competitive in the third round, most of all. Stats, Robert had a 50% accuracy in round 1. Grant only had a 25% accuracy. He was very close to getting certain answers, but he was just like one word or preposition off for a couple of them, so that hindered his score. Round number 2, Robert spins new releases and keeps it. He goes 3 out of 4 questions correct, 4 out of 8 points. Grant did get a steal for 2. And then Grant spun animated, which is his least favorite category, and then he just went away and he got player's choice. So it was a good choice to spin again. He got Eric Bana. He got half the questions correct because unfortunately one of them was an animated question. It was about Finding Nemo. Apparently Eric Bana plays a hammerhead shark in that movie.
Yes, he does.
And so 50% accuracy in round 2 for Grant. 4 out of 8 points as well. Robert is leading 10-8 into round 3, and then it was just everyone answering their questions left and right. Grant gets his 2-pointer, Robert gets his 2-pointer, and then 3-pointers for both, and then 5-pointers for both. This final score ends in 22. It ends in 2018. Which set a new points record, actually, with Robert winning the match. So, Kaleb, just give me your brief thoughts on that match.
I say Robert and Grant are 2 of the best players in regular movies. This was a match that a lot of people wanted to see, and I think both of them played pretty well. I think Grant would have liked to have played a stronger game, and I believe in my faction mate, Grant, to come back strong. And, of course, it's Robert. It's Robert Parker. I think he's one of the best players, if not the best player in all the trivia leagues that are fan run. I do think Robert can make it to the semis, but there's someone on the other half of the bracket that is my favorite to win the whole thing.
Well, actually, Robert is guaranteed now to be in the semis. This was a round 2 matchup, so he is.
I meant to make it to the finals. Long day.
Robert is now in the semifinal match. He will be playing the winner of tomorrow's movie Warzone upload, which is Eli the Showman McKeag taking on movie Warzone head Jake the Maestro Marangoni. We're going to discuss that and give our predictions for it a little bit later on. But now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's get to the matches that happened this week. So first on Monday, we have a primetime Paulo Yama doubleheader to start off our conversation. Paulo Yama, he faced Casual Chaos, Matt Quaylar in movie Warzone this past Monday. Primetime Paulo Yama won, bringing his record to 2-0 with 2 TKOs. I was on call for this match, and basically the way I described it at the end was this was someone having a good game versus someone having a great game. Paulo Yama did not miss a single question he was asked. Perfect in round 1, perfect in round 2, plus a 2-point steal. Didn't have to answer any of his round 3 questions. Matt Quaylar, the number 12 tournament seed, he got 50% accuracy in round 1. So he did good, and he got 75% accuracy wait. Yes, he did get 75% accuracy in round 2, but unfortunately, round 3 was just not kind to him. He couldn't get the questions that he was given. 2-pointer was Jessica Chastain, Bryce Dallas Howard co-starred in what 2011 film? The answer was The Help. Paul knew it, but Matt unfortunately did not. And then we get to his 3-pointer, which is about Miley Cyrus's film, The Last Song. Again, Paul Oyama knew that one. Casual Chaos unfortunately did not. Paul Oyama, he moves on to face either Sean Sandberg, or, because Chance Ellison has gone up and left, Alex Warden. He will face either one of those two in the semifinals. Kaleb, what are your thoughts on this match?
This was over before it began. Paul Oyama is definitely one of the most dangerous people in movie Warzone, and I think he can make it to the finals. He's definitely someone I believe in, but we'll get to that when the predictions.
Yes, I would have to agree with you there. Paul Oyama, I mean, he is a scary individual, and since coming to Multiplex Entertainment, he has just been on pretty much a roll. He's already one half of the Worldwide Movie Trivia Team Champions as part of Big Picture, and he's showing that he's someone to watch out for in whatever division you put him in. Anything else we should discuss about this match?
I don't know. I think I've covered everything that I think needs to be said. Paul Oyama's a beast. Matt had a bad day, but Paul's just a beast. That's all there is to it.
Okay. As we get into this next match, I'll try to slow down the conversation just a little bit because I feel like I'm rushing through bullet point after bullet point after bullet point, and we got to have like an actual discussion about these. Okay, so the next match, this one was very entertaining. Again, we have primetime Paul Oyama making his Fandom Fight debut against his good frenemy, Lucas Schilbach of the Silver Shamrocks. Again, just to go over the accolades of these two. Excuse me, I can't talk today. Paul Oyama, one half of the current Worldwide Movie Trivia Team Champions. He's the current Full Metal Trivia Challenge Champion. I forgot to mention that. Representing the Wild Bunch. And of course, Lucas Schilbach, for his accolades, I have listed Funny as Hell, a close frenemy of Paul, representing the Silver Shamrocks. So pretty much everything I just said was already on that sheet. Both these guys made it clear that they know their fandom/geek stuff, but they don't consider themselves to be fandom/geek players. They know each other very well. And also, Tim Smith's lips are funny to look at up close. You remember that. I do remember that. Okay, so just to recap what happened in round one. Paul, he went 7 for 10. He answered questions 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, and 10 correctly. Lucas, he only got 3 out of 10 correct. Numbers 6, 9, and 10. One moment in particular, there was a lot of ball busting going on between the competitors and the hosts, but also one portion of this match in particular really stuck out to me, and that was the famous Amos Diggory question, where Lucas said he didn't think Paul would get that question correct. He ended up getting that question correct, and then Lucas wished a watery and Sharknado-based destruction upon the entire state of Hawaii. This is probably a stupid question to ask, but what are your thoughts on Hawaii?
Great state, youngest state, so it makes sense that older brother picks on little brother state.
Well, I like Hawaii, and I would prefer it not get wiped out in a Sharknado disaster. Okay, so after round one, Paul Oyama was leading 7-3. We move into round two. Paul chose to defer, not with a terrible pun like he did with his movie Warzone match, where he said Boots would defer. Should have mentioned that earlier. But he defers. Lucas spins Star Wars first. Chooses to spin again and gets scores and soundtracks. He gets question number 1 correct. He misses numbers 2 and 3, which Paul is able to steal for 1 point each because multiple choice. Neither one of them, from the look of it, got question number 4 correct. And then Lucas finishes the round off by getting question 5 correct. So Lucas gets 2 out of 5 questions correct, 40% accuracy, 4 out of 10 points. And the score after his turn is Paul still leading, but it's much closer now, 9-7. So what did you think of Lucas's performance in round 2?
I think he would have. I think he would have better if he had strength. Like, you know, I've seen Lucas. I've seen Lucas up front and up close. He's a smart competitor. He knows his stuff. I think if he had gotten something he was a little bit stronger in, this would have been a bit closer. And I think Paul surprised everyone in round 2 by taking a category that no one really likes and doing very well with it. I was certainly shocked when that happened.
Yes. So, speaking of that, that brings us to Paul's turn. He spun Kaiju, and everyone is so afraid of that category that it did come as a shock when Paul decided to take that category. Now, he unfortunately did not get question number 1, and funny enough, Lucas's guess for that question was literally the same movie that Paulo Yama guessed. So neither one of them got question 1. But Paul did correctly answer questions number 2 and 3 without multiple choice. Again, neither competitor got question number 4 for Kaiju. But with the help of multiple choice, Paul was able to get question number 5. As one of the notes, I just have that Kaiju answers are really weird. Again,
very much are.
Yeah, it's an uncharted category for a lot of people. So, yeah, it might be something all of us need to study up on. But yeah, Paul,
I will
go for it.
I will say very quickly, for the people who don't like Kaiju, you might have an opportunity to remove it from fandom. This is something we're talking about every season, voting a category off and adding and voting one on so that the seasons stay fresh. So if you really hate Kaiju, hang around till December when that poll comes around. But anyway.
And for its replacement, feel free to nominate DreamWorks, please.
That is one that we're discussing. It's one of the categories that we're discussing.
I want some How to Train Your Dragon questions, and I know Kane wants to write some Star Trek, not Star Trek, but Shrek 2 questions.
Oh, yes, he does, very much.
Okay, but anyway, Paul finishes off his round 2 answering 3 out of 5 questions correct, 5 out of 10 points, 60% accuracy, to be more specific. So after that turn, Paul is then leading the match 14-7. So Lucas still has some room to catch up, but he's got to hit some points. So we get to round number 3. And question number 1 was the category of Back to the Future. Both competitors bet nothing. Paul still answered the question correctly, though. The answer was Mark McClure. He played Dave McFly. So the score, because nobody bet anything, the score remains the same at 14-7. Feel free to chime in if you have any thoughts on that.
I mean, Back to the Future is not my favorite either, so I wasn't too surprised.
I just recently saw the Back to the Future trilogy for the first time a couple weeks ago. I was prepping for my match with Alex because I know that's one of his strong suits, and I thoroughly enjoyed the trilogy. Still can't remember actors' names to save my life, but enjoyed the trilogy very much. Okay, so question number 2 is in the category of Marvel. Lucas goes big and bets 2. Paul bets 1 point. The question was, the quote, "Welcome to the Nerd Lab," is a quote in, I really messed up this note here, but they're basically asking what movie can you hear the quote, "Welcome to the Nerd Lab." The answer was Big Hero 6. Which is a Disney movie that a lot of people forget is also a Marvel movie. Neither competitor got that right, and because of the betting, the score then becomes 13-5, with Paul still in the lead. Any thoughts on that?
I think Big Hero 6 is one that I think that was a fun one to throw into the Disney Marvel kind of wheelhouse. It falls into 2 categories. So I thought that was clever. That was very clever on Kane's part. That was not a decision on my part. But.
You're not wrong. That is a clever choice. Okay, so we get to question 3 after that, which is in the category of Pixar. Both competitors bet 2 points, and the question was, what badge is Russell trying to earn when he first meets the old guy in Up? Strangely enough, both competitors answered the same thing. They answered helping the elderly. The correct answer was assisting the elderly. So they were just like 1 word off, but Kane was kind enough to give them both the points for that answer. So after that, the score became 15-7. Again, Paul is still in the lead. So something big would have had to happen for Lucas to catch up. Anything you want to chime in here?
No, I think that's pretty straightforward.
Okay. And then we get to, again, this was Lucas's last chance to get something big, and it just didn't work out. We get to question 4, the category of James Bond. Lucas bets 2 again. Paul bets 1. They're asked, which film was Pierce Brosnan's first appearance as 007? Both correctly answered GoldenEye, but it didn't matter. Math won out in the end. And so did Paulo Yama. He finishes off the match by TKO with a final score of 16-9. And so he finishes round 3 with 75% accuracy. He finishes off the match in total with 68% accuracy. And as of the last time I checked the rankings, he is number 6 after this performance. Am I correct?
I need to double check on that for you. Hold on, give me 2 seconds. Yes, Paulo Yama is the number 6 ranked contender with that win. 1 TKO and a career total of 16 points scored with a 68% accuracy and a 66% steal rate puts him as the number 6 ranked contender with that win.
Now, who is he set to play next?
His next opponent will be Case Cornelese, the Grand Admiral himself.
Ooh, that's good.
That is the next match, which is set tentatively for September 14th. But we will reveal that on the September schedule with the rest of the September matches.
That is going to be fun to watch.
Yes.
And
yes, it is.
As for Lucas Schilbach, he finished off the round with 50% accuracy, the entire game with 36% accuracy, 7 out of 19 questions. Now, we know who his next opponent is going to be and also in what month, but we'll save that for once we get into the discussion of another match we have on the card here. But first, I'm going to ask you politely to please stay out of kayfabe when we discuss this next match.
Will do. I will stay out of kayfabe.
Thank you very much. We're talking, of course, about the Kings of Winter taking on myself and Matthew Rosa, Afro Samurai. And just speaking from having been one of the people in that match, you being another one of the people in that match, Matthew and I were off our games that night. We were just not in the zone. Something didn't feel right with either of us. Life threw us a whole bunch of weight that we had to carry. And there were a lot of questions in round 1 and also in round 2 that I feel like I was going through a process of elimination and I just eliminated the wrong one. So the second guessing, it happens. It happens to everybody. But basically the way – first let's go through the accolades. We have you. You are the Fandom Fight co-head. You're 2-1 in singles. You're representing Apocalypse. You have your partner, Jim the Wolf Green. He's the TV Throwdown GM. He's 0-1 in singles, but he was the only competitor in the championship tournament preliminary round to not get TKO'd. He's the Game of Thrones champ. He's representing Alpha Alliance. Or is he? That's what I have written there. Then we have myself, former Jack of All Trivia Wrestling champion, 1-1 with 1 TKO in singles. Around the league in Sports Battlefield, that's what you know me for. And, of course, founded House Night Fury. Then we have Matthew Rosa. I have him listed as the potential future Jukebox Trivia champion because I do believe he will become the champion one day. South Park exhibition champion. 0-1 in singles, but he did very well in the play-in match number 2 that he competed in. He was also representing House Night Fury. This was the first official Fandom Fight team match. You and Jim were playing a lot of mind games leading up to this. You've done well against both myself and Matthew in past matches, but Jim has not done well against matches that have also featured me. So I had that listed as a stat there. I also have that you nearly spit out your water when I called Jim a hybrid of Napoleon Dynamite, Pedro, and Jim Halpert from The Office.
Yeah, it was funny. That was funny.
And, of course, I have to put this because it's what happened. Matthew was kind of checked out in that match.
He definitely was. I noticed that the match, just from how he answered his questions, he was just like, I don't know, just checked out, just like, I don't know this, and then kind of put the board down. There wasn't much emotion coming out of him. So,
yeah, from the very moment he started speaking in our opening promo, I was like, oh boy, he's exhausted. And that had me worried a little bit, but I kept my poker face as best I could. Hoped he could do the same. And let's see here. For round one, I have the individual scores. You answered questions 2, 3, and 4 correct. So individually, you had 3 out of 10. Jim, he got 2, 4, 6, and 10, so 4 out of 10. And your combined accuracy for that round was 7 out of 20 points, 35% accuracy. Me, I only got question number 10 correct, and Matt only got question number 3 correct. So 10% accuracy individually, and also 10% accuracy as a group, 2 out of 20 points. Nobody knew what AT-AT stood for. Apparently, I need to watch High School Musical 3. And
very good.
And the score after round 1 had you guys leading 7-2. Now, round number 2, a little bit of history here. You guys deferred. Afro Samurai spun, and we got player's choice. And we chose to go with your strength, which is Pixar. We got questions 1, 2, and 4 correct, but we needed multiple choice for numbers 1 and 4. You guys weren't able to steal when we missed numbers 3 and 5. Jim actually needed to be muted at question 3. I have that listed there, as your partner loves to talk. And so basically after our spin was a score of 7-6, you guys were still leading. So here's where the history comes in. You guys then spun opponent's choice. This is the second time where in a match featuring myself and Jim that my team or myself have gotten spinner's choice, and Jim's team or himself has gotten opponent's choice. So that's got to be sticking in his head that the wheel does not like him.
Definitely, that bugged him a little bit when we talked afterwards. But me and him were both we felt decent about the scores of the soundtracks category. Like that wasn't the worst thing you could have given us on that wheel. And we definitely worked our way through it. It's not what we wanted, but it's not something we were scared of. I think round 3 is where we just clicked, and that's why we're a good team.
Yeah. So getting into scores and soundtracks. First off, Tim Smith said something that will guarantee him he will never direct a Guardians of the Galaxy movie ever again. Yes. I don't need to say the line. You can go watch the match and see it for yourself because I like having a job and I don't want us to get thrown off of YouTube. But you guys answered question number 2 and question number 4 correct. You guys needed multiple choice for 4. Your guys' accuracy was 2 for 5. 3 out of 10 points. So 40% accuracy. The score leading into round 3 was 10-6. You guys still leading. So we get into round 3. First question was Star Trek. You and myself volunteered to take this question. We both bet 1 point. This is one of the few times I will ever get a Star Trek question correct because thankfully I'm finally starting to watch the movies. And yeah, the first question was about the very first Star Trek movie, Star Trek the Motion Picture. It was asking who was the villain. It was V'ger, a.k.a. the Voyager 6. You did not know this one, so that kind of tightened up the score a little bit, bringing it to 9-7. You guys were still leading. And then we get into question number 2, and that's where everything kind of fell apart. The category was Wizarding World. Matthew wisely bet nothing, but Jim bet 2. Ridiculous kind of did us in, brought the score up for you guys to 11-7. Then we get to question 3, which was Disney. You and Matthew went for that one. Matt bet 2. You bet 1. You knew the answer was Vanellope from Wreck-It Ralph. Matt didn't. So that did us in even more, widening the gap 12-5. And finally, question 4, DCEU. I had to go for broke. Jim bet nothing. We made a couple box office jokes. Wrong answers were given. Neither of us knew how Man of Steel started, and that finished the match off. You guys won by TKO. 12.
I will clarify, Jim did know what it was. He did write down the right answer, and he erased it and put a joke answer because we already knew we were going to win. So I don't agree with that decision to make a joke answer instead of writing the actual answer because that affects stats. But it was funny. It was a funny move.
And speaking of stats, you guys finished round 3 with 50% accuracy. We finished off round 3 with 25%. You guys finished off the match in total with 37% accuracy, so not the highest bar to set for the
not the best debut. But I think starting 1-0 is good, and I think me and Jim, that was just a good warm up. We'll be back against either Ranger Force or Team 80s. Whoever wins between those two will be who Kings of Winter play against next, and that will be a really fun match that I can't wait to do. So yeah.
Now, speaking in character, you've mentioned your desire to play Ranger Force because you still have some unfinished beef in your eyes with RJ. But speaking as Kaleb Koho, the person, not the king, how do you think that match is going to go, and who do you want?
I think Team 80s is going to win. No offense to Tim and RJ. I think they could blow everyone away and be a great team. I just think if you have to do a player-on-player analysis, Jeremy and Sandy are 2 of the best players over on Worldwide Movie Trivia, in Full Metal Trivia, from that whole Worldwide Movie Games world. They're 2 of the best. And them together in fandom is very scary. Whereas RJ and Tim are good. There's nothing wrong with them as players at all. In fact, RJ is the highest ranked 0-1 competitor in the fandom league. He's smart. Tim is smart. Tim helped create the league. So I can't rule them out. But the thing is, it's very hard to go against Team 80s. So I think Team 80s will be the winner, and that's the person that Kings of Winter will play. Personally, as a competitor, I would love to take the easy road and play Ranger Force in my eyes. But playing Team 80s and beating Team 80s as a competitor, from a competitor standpoint, completely legitimizes Kings of Winter in a big bad way. So I'm fine with playing either. I love all 4 of those guys. Whoever comes out of that match, the winner, I will be extremely happy to play them. Love Sandy, love Jeremy, love RJ, love Tim. So,
and as for Afro Samurai, we only got 6 out of 29 questions correct. That's 20% accuracy. So we're kind of done until 2019. But I think we have it on good authority from Kane that we'll be playing the loser of that Team 80s Ranger Force match. And as much as I'm kind of with you on the same page, but also I've been wanting to play RJ for the longest time now. So I'm feeling like this is finally my way in to get a match with him. Nothing against RJ. It's just I think he's funny as hell, and I want to be part of that match. That'll be funny as hell. So that's my way of thinking. But yeah, you guys are going on to play once again later on in the season. Afro Samurai, unfortunately, has to sit on the bench for a while. And now we get to the this was the undercard of Friday. Sandy the Sandman Robinson, the creator of Full Metal Geek himself, one half of the #1 contenders to the Worldwide Movie Trivia Team Championships and a founding member of Atomic Nation. He's making his debut from Jack of All Trivia in the Comic Book League, Jay the Arsonist Burns. Before this match happened, what were your expectations for it?
I have seen both competitors up close as just watching them. Sandy, very knowledgeable. He hosts Full Metal Geek, for goodness sakes. And I've played Jay many times in the comic book league. I'm supposed to be playing him in Jack of All Trivia at some point. So we'll see if that ever happens. But I've seen Jay. Jay's a great dude, a very good competitor. And so I was very excited when he said yes to come play over at Multiplex. And Sandy, when he said he wanted in, I was so excited. And I knew I had to put these two against each other right away, just because we need to whittle down the good competitor crop so we can single in on a new singles champion after Mayhem at the Multiplex. So,
okay. So, yes, obviously, Phantom and Geek is where both these competitors thrive. And both these competitors showed each other a lot of respect. Sadly, round one did not show a lot of respect to Jay Burns. He didn't get a single question correct in this round, unfortunately. Meanwhile, Sandy, he answers 5 questions correct, so 50% to 0% accuracy. Sandy really showed his love of Star Trek with his correct answering of question number 2. He technically should have gotten question number 4 wrong, which was a DCEU question. He both pronounced and spelled Joe Manganiello wrong. He said Joe Manganiello, but it is what it is. Strangely enough, both competitors missed a Harry Potter question, which I think is a strength of both of theirs. They were asked, where is Newt traveling from at the start of Fantastic Beasts? Jay says Dublin, and Sandy says New York, when the answer was London. So that was very interesting to me that they both missed that strength question of theirs. Also, Jay always seems to have company over when he's playing a match. It can get a little distracting at times, but hey, what can you do? You can't control who's in your house at what time of day. But basically, the score after round 1 was Sandy leaving 5-0. Any thoughts on that before we get into round 2?
I would end of round 1. Jay is the first person in the history of Phantom to not score a single point in the first round, and that was very scary for me as the person who advocated for him to play in the match. I was worried Kane was never going to let me recruit talent again, especially because there's a guy I have my eyes set on to debut later this season that I really, really respect and admire and like, and I have him booked now, which is great. But Jay does something I never thought he would do, and we'll get to that in the later rounds.
Yeah. So getting into those later rounds, we now get into round 2. Sandy makes one of the rare choices to actually spin first. It always comes as a surprise to me when people choose to spin first these days, because so many people are choosing to defer. But he spins DC, chooses to spin again, and gets Wizarding World, one of his strong suits. He correctly answers questions 2, 3, and 5. He needed multiple choice for numbers 2 and 5. He couldn't pull the name Seamus without hearing the name, but he did know the last name, which I thought was interesting. Jay stole questions number 1 and 4 for 1 point each. So the score after Sandy's turn was 9-2. And then we get into where Jay really picked up steam. He spins Middle Earth, a question that category, that only Robert Parker chooses not to shy away from. And then he keeps it. And he gets questions number 2, 3, and 4 correct. He needed multiple choice for 2 and 3. Sandy steals question number 1 for 1 point, but he closes that wide gap, and the score becomes 10-6 with Sandy in the lead. Any thoughts on that?
This is one of his comebacks just from there in Fandom Fight history, especially when we get in round 3, which is what I really want to talk about. Both players pretty well. I don't think Jay did as well as wanted Middle Earth, but he did manage to close the gap a bit there to an epic round 3.
Yes, and let's get into that epic round 3. So question 1, we had formerly the DCEU, now the Worlds of DC. Both competitors bet 1 point. They were asked, how many films has Ares been in? A lot of people forget that he was in Justice League. Sandy did not. He got that question correct. So the score then starts to widen again, 11-5. And then it gets really interesting because question number 2, scores and soundtracks. Neither competitor makes a bet. Neither competitor remembers that Alan Silvestri did the score for, what was it, Captain America, The First Avenger? Was that the movie?
The First Avenger.
Yes, okay. Yep. Okay, so then we get into question number 3. Indiana Jones. Jay bets 2 points. Sandy bets 1 point. They are asked, what year is Kingdom of the Crystal Skull set? And Jay somehow makugas his way with the answer of 1957. He gets 2 points. Sandy misses. And the score, just like that, is now that much closer again, 10-7. And we get to question number 4. Kaiju. Again, a category not a lot of people enjoy. And they're asked, which American kaiju film was released in 2008? Sandy again misses. They both bet 1 point, by the way. But Sandy again misses. And Jay pulls it with the Field of Clovers. So now we're at 9-8. And it comes down to the final question. Final question in the category of Disney. Jay goes for broke with 2 points. Sandy makes kind of an iffy choice to bet nothing. And the question is, what song does the genie sing when he first meets Aladdin? Sandy, being the Team 80s member that he is, and having spent so much time with Jeremy Adams, the king of Disney songs, he knows it's A Friend Like Me. But Jay couldn't pull it. It's apparently been a long time since he's seen Aladdin. And the score, the final score of this match, 9-6. Sandy Robinson is your winner.
That is easily the biggest, best comeback I've ever seen in Fandom, to go from scoring 0 points the first round to get it within 1 point on the last question. And then he went for the kill shot. He went for 2. And if he had gotten it right, he would have won. If he could have just bet 1 point and pulled it, we would have gone to sudden death, which would have been the first time that's ever happened in Fandom Fights ever, is a sudden death. But he just couldn't do it. But Jay is definitely not gone. He will be back this season, and he will be playing Lucas Schildbach, who we mentioned earlier. That'll be later in the season. Those two will be facing off. But the Jay is definitely not going anywhere. Sandy is definitely not going anywhere because he'll be playing the winner of you and Jim, which happens this Friday. So we'll find out which one of you will be playing Sandy Robinson.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. A few more stats about this match. Both competitors finished off round 3 with 40% accuracy, 2 out of 5 questions. Sandy finished the entire match with 50% accuracy. Jay with, I don't think I got that stat. Oh, only 25% accuracy. Wow, he only got like 5 out of 20 the entire game. So that comeback is even more amazing when you factor in those numbers. In closing thoughts, Sandy, he was asked who would we want to play between myself and Jim, and he says, Jim, you're a great host, and then just finishes his thought there. And as for Jay, he says that you guys are masochists for putting up anyone against Paulo Young in their debut. So he now gets to see what it's like to play Lucas Schildbach, and there's going to be a lot of words thrown in that match, which will make it even more entertaining. That match will happen in November. Either myself or Jim versus Sandy will happen in October. So now we get to the final match of the week, unless you have something else you wanted to say.
Nope.
Okay, now we get into the final match of the week. A lot of story developing here. Malcolm the Crusher defeating Kane McMillan. Before this match, it was Malcolm 0-1. He had just lost to Robert Parker in the preliminary round of the tournament. Meanwhile, Kane McMillan, he was getting a fresh start, re-debuting 0-0 with 1 no contest. And so going into round 1. Also, I should mention that Ryan Permerson, he was on commentary for this match.
Ryan forced his way onto commentary. In fact, I had Jim and Tim on good terms to discuss who was going to be hosting with me, and Ryan forced his way onto the desk, and I just couldn't really say no at that point. We had to shoot. We had 5 minutes, so I said, okay, fine, Ryan, you can come on. And from there, Ryan just hijacked the show.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And we'll get into that in a moment. Round one, this is a very interesting stat because both competitors went 5 for 10 on literally every one of the same questions. Numbers 1, 2, 6, 7, and 10. They all answered the same questions correct. So they finish off round number one at a 5-5 tie. Also, one of the things that was mentioned in the first round was that Ryan apparently hates The Incredibles. Because, of course, he does.
I don't know what it is with Ryan. He's just gone crazy.
That seems more like an everyday opinion for him than like just something that has come with the change of thinking. But going into round two, Kane chooses to go first. He spins opponent's choice, and Malcolm gives him Star Trek. He does okay. He gets questions number 2 and 3, both with the aid of multiple choice. Malcolm wasn't able to steal any of the other questions that he missed. But it's 2 out of 5 questions, 2 out of 10 points, 40% accuracy. You almost blew the 5th question by almost accidentally revealing the answer. You were about to say the year of 19, and then you stopped yourself. Ryan falsely accused Kane of being a Trekkie and then ribbed him for blowing the round by mentioning problems in the McMillan household. That seems way too personal to bring up on air like that. And
yeah, man, Ryan, no respect from Ryan these days.
I know. What's going on with him? And then as we get into Malcolm's turn, the score is Kane leading 7-5. So we have an actual lead now. So Malcolm spins Pixar, chooses not to go with it, spins again, and he lands on the Wizarding World, which I believe is one of his stronger suits. He correctly answers questions numbers 1, 2, and 4, and 5 correctly. He needed multiple choice for 4, but he did extremely well there. 4 out of 5 questions, 7 out of 10 points, 80% accuracy. More things we learned about this round was that Ryan also hates Doctor Who.
Again, no respect for anything. I don't know what it is with Ryan.
Also, Kane had a little bit of confusion about the wording of Malcolm's third question. I believe that was about Harry, Ron, and Hermione, and Ginny's kids and how many of them were boarding the train. Oh, Tim Smith, what's up?
Hey, sorry to interrupt you guys. Weird question. Have any of you guys seen Kane at all?
No, I was going to ask you.
Okay.
Wait. He's not hosting tonight, Tim? He's not hosting our match tonight, no?
No. That's why I was coming to see if maybe you guys have seen him or have you, but I guess no alarm or biggie. We can figure out something, but just figure I'd see if you guys have seen Kane or what have you. Trying to get a hold of him. No luck, but I'll let you guys
Hopefully we can get a hold of him.
Hopefully.
Oh, by the way, boss, how are we doing right now? How are we doing with this new format?
Oh, I haven't been watching this. Come on now.
Tim's too busy to watch this. What are you talking about? He's got to find Kane. He's got to find Kane.
But I have been tuning in while trying to figure out, trying to track down Kane. It's like Carmen Sandiego, but he's not wearing a yellow trench coat. But no, it's doing good so far. I like it. But okay, I'm gonna try to keep finding Kane. If anyone hears anything, let me know if you find Kane. But all right, guys, have fun. Enjoy the rest of the show. I gotta go try to find the little bastard. So I'll see you later.
All right, see ya.
Everybody, thank you to our boss for just checking in. And
I think that's a good summarize the match. Yeah, we went through this Malcolm and Kane blow for blow, but the end end of the match, I think, is what we wanted. I don't know what Ryan said. Ryan, I hate the match interviews, and it was a judgment call because I don't usually handle the post match interviews myself, and he says some words, something about a juggernaut, and Kane disappeared, and I haven't seen him. Kane dropped the call. Kane's gone. I have no idea where he is. As you can see, Tim doesn't even know where he is. So I've been kind of running Fandom on my own, and it's very stressful to not have my partner around. But yeah, that's really what the big takeaway from this one for me. I'm still flustered.
Yeah, I'll just say this. It's a good thing that Kane's nickname is stock footage because that makes it easy to put his face on a milk carton because we need to put out a search party. But yeah, basically Ryan uttered a bunch of words and all of a sudden Kane is nowhere to be found and who knows when he'll turn up again. But that's what happened this week. So now let's get into what's coming this week, and then we'll take a few questions, and then we'll be out of here because I know you have somewhere to be.
I do.
So let's just get right into predictions. First, we have, again, we mentioned this earlier at the top of the show. Tomorrow we have Jake, the Maestro Marangoni, one of the heads over at Movie Warzone, stepping back into the ring of the brand he runs, taking on the showman, Eli McKay, potentially the future Arrowverse champion, the winner of the Comic Book Trivia Showdown free-for-all, the Knockout King, the king of the multi-person match. How do you see that match playing out right there?
The thing is, I love Jake. Jake's a good guy. Jake is great. Eli has been on a roll, whether it's Fandom, whether it's Warzone, whether it's TV. Eli's just seemed not to put my money on Eli for this. I think Eli goes on to play Robert Parker, and that'll be an epic show there. And I think that might honestly be better for Jake because then Jake can focus on running the finals rather than playing in the finals and leaving it up to other people to run his Warzone league. And that might be what's best for Jake. I would love to see Jake get a win, but Jake kind of has a history of going out in the quarterfinals, if we've seen anything in Fandom also. So.
And, I also respect Jake as a competitor very much, but it just feels like after Dan Skip Allen, Eli's partner, went into like his brief retirement that only lasted for like a month or two, Eli, something just clicked in his brain where he's been able to put on great performance after great performance after great performance ever since. Like, he was in both the first matches ever for Fandom Fight and Movie Warzone, and he knocked out everyone in those matches. He has cemented himself as a player to watch out for. Again, he is in contention to be the first and only Arrowverse champion. So my money is definitely on Eli McKay. I feel like we're just dealing with a different Eli McKay than we've ever dealt with before, and that is a scary Eli McKay to deal with.
Very, very true.
Like, depending on how the semifinals go, I would not be surprised if Eli found his way into the finals, the championship finals, if he makes it past Jake Marangoni tomorrow, of course.
Obviously.
Okay, next one. This was originally supposed to be the main event, but now it's the undercard. It's myself versus Jim Green. This is technically a rematch from Jack of All Trivia. Different rule set, same bad blood. Last time we faced off, I got the nod, 11 to 10 points. Again, the wheel has a strange history of being kind to me and awful to Jim, especially when we play each other. If you count the team match that we discussed earlier, the rivalry is 1-1. So this is going to be the rubber match. This is going to be the tiebreaker. Winner faces Sandy Robinson in October. Loser is done for the season. How do you see that match going down?
And no disrespect to you, Nico, but I do have to take my partner just because Jim, and he almost beat Alex Warden. He almost beat Alex. And right from there, I'd have to give it to Jim. the edge to Jim just because he's hungry for a win. He's hungry for a belt. Winter going for him, and I know how heated he is with this rivalry with you. So I expect Jim to bring home the victory. That's no offense to you or Afro Samurai or House Knight Fury. It's just I have to pull for my partner. I know you do the same if it was Matt Rosa versus me. So,
and of course I'm the other person in that match, so I gotta say myself. Otherwise, what the hell am I doing in this competition? Yeah, I feel like karma is kind to people sometimes, and Tim's been not Tim, excuse me, boss. Jim has been talking a lot of shit, and usually fate just has a way of interfering when people get a little too high on their own horse. And then finally, we have the second team match ever, which a little bit behind the scenes. If you're about to go film.
Yeah, actually. So I'm actually making a prediction based on not even knowing the outcome. I'm gonna take Arkham Knights. It's Arkham Knights versus Royal Flush, by the way. Which is Arkham Knights is Robert Parker and a mystery person, like not a mystery. We know the name. We've never seen him play though. It's Robert's brother-in-law. His name's Tim. I'm not gonna butcher your last name. I'm sorry, man. I don't want to butcher it. And then Royal Flush, which is Ed Sale and Brooklyn Vale. And we just saw Ed play Case, and that was very close. I believe in Ed. Ed and Robert could go toe-to-toe in Middle-earth, in my eyes. They are both super strong in that category. I think those two were going to fight each other and leave it to Brooklyn and Tim to face it out on the other half. And I do think, based on the player-to-player matchup, I would say if I'm going player-to-player, I take Royal Flush because Arkham Knights has a big question mark. But Robert Parker's the teammate. So it's hard to bet against Robert Parker because of how good he's proven to be, how driven and determined he's been in every match. So I'm going to take Arkham Knights purely because of Robert Parker. But if Royal Flush wins, I will not be surprised.
Robert's brother-in-law's last name, I believe, is Tim Berzakala. I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. And I'm kind of with you on the same line of thinking. House Knight Fury has some history with Royal Flush. We know how talented they are. And again, Robert is a beast. He's basically the uncrowned champion of Fandom Fight right now. But again, we don't know how well things run in the family for him. Like, at one point, his roommate competed in Jack of All Trivia, and he didn't get a single point in his three-way match. So just being associated with Robert Parker does not automatically make you a great movie trivia competitor. So we'll see how things play out here. But until those questions are answered, I got to go with the known quantity, which is Royal Flush. So those are the previews for the matches upcoming this week. Let's get to a few questions, and then you can get the hell out of here and get that match taped.
True.
All right. First question is from Brian Permison.
Of course.
And he asks, is there a competitor you can see winning all the belts in each division? He also asks, what's a singles or team match you want to see that hasn't been scheduled yet, and why?
I will I'll take this one and say I think Robert could feasibly win the belts in the Warzone and Fandom division. I'm not sure if he could feasibly win the TV. If I had to pick one person to win every single belt, I'd pick Eli McKegg because of how well-rounded he is in TV, in Fandom, and in movies. He's the one person that if I picked one person to win all three, I'd take him. And a match that's currently unscheduled that I really want to see. It's difficult. I do want to pull the curtain back a little bit and say this is not a scheduled match, but it's one that I am working on. I want to see Dominic Rizzi take on anyone. Dominic Rizzi is the person I was talking about that I have booked for the future. That is great. He's someone I can't wait to see. Another person I really want to see play is I would love to see Jeremy Adams versus Sandy Robinson and do a Team 80 Civil War and see who would win that. And of course, Kings of Winter. This is another one that's not booked yet. Kings of Winter versus Nuclear Option in teams, which would be me and Jim playing Case Cornelese and Alex Warden Nuclear Option, which that would be a really fun team match in my opinion. But those are the matches I want to see that are, as of yet, unbooked.
Ooh, those are good ones. Just based on your reasoning, I got to also say Eli McKeag is definitely someone who could take all the belts. Robert Parker has voiced his opinions that he does not want anything to do with TV. He does not feel like he's strong in TV, so he is definitely someone who will probably not be in that division unless he just wants to give it the college try and be done with it at one match. Eli, he's definitely someone who could make a run in all three divisions, plus sports once we get that underway. In terms of what's a singles or team match you want to see that hasn't been scheduled yet and why, not so much a match, but I feel like TV is kind of an undervalued quantity right now. Like a lot of people are just looking at it as the division that they want to give it the old college try-in, but don't want to compete for a long period of time because they're uncertain about their skills. So I feel like the best way to get more traction to that division might be to do maybe a trios division, like get as many people in there as possible, and then you have three people who can fill in each other's gaps per team.
And I know that Fandom TV is coming, which is what Jim's working on. Basically an Intergeekdom TV division. And that's one I'll be giving the old college try to, because maybe I can hang in that. I know I can't do regular TV. I don't watch enough TV to hang in TV trivia. Just like I'm probably done in Jukebox, but it's kind of fun to just show up every now and then and be there, Tom Dagnino. But I definitely can't wait to see how Fandom TV does, because I think that'll draw a lot more attention.
And as for other matches that I want to see scheduled that we haven't yet and why, when we get Sports Battlefield underway again, I want to do a celebrity match with Daniel Cormier, the UFC heavyweight and light heavyweight champion, versus former WWE champion Seth Rollins. They're good friends in real life. I feel like them having an argument over football would be very entertaining. So just something for when we get more successful, and we do have a UFC fighter on our roster in Sam Alvey, so it's possible down the road. It's just a matter of all the cards falling in line. Okay, next question is from Paulo Yama. What are some of the most impressive pulls/rounds you've seen in both Warzone and Phantom? I'm assuming you're going to say Jay Burns' most recent performance.
I don't think that's the most impressive round 2 I've ever seen in Phantom. I will say Paulo Yama taking Kaiju is probably one of the most impressive round 2 decisions I've ever seen. I'd say one of the most impressive round 2s I've ever seen. I'd have to give Robert Parker's debut a good one, where I think he went perfect in his debut round 2. I think there's I can't off the top of my head just throw out round 2s that I think are super impressive. I know Case and Ed both had really strong round 2s. Myself and Ryan had really good debut round 2s. But I'd have to say the one that sticks in my head freshest as being memorable is Paul taking Kaiju in round 2.
I'm going to say Sean Sandberg. His round 2 in the opening round of movie Warzone, the tournament was just super impressive, especially after having been gone from competition for so long. And he just comes back and makes Thomas Eanes, who's a really respectable player, makes him look like easy pickings. It was that's someone else that we should really watch out for, is Sean Sandberg. And I feel like I forgot to give him his credit.
Sean Sandberg is my favorite to win the whole movie Warzone tournament.
All right, you heard it here first. And finally, we have one last question from Brooklyn Vale. And he asks, if you had the power of corruption, spelled with a K-O at the beginning, how would you rearrange the current team roster?
Oh, I love this question. And I know he clarified specifically with Fandom Warzone people. I would put me and Robert on a team, because that peek behind the curtain, that was in talks at one point, me and Robert to be a team. I would love to put Eli. I'd love to put Jake and Eli on a team. I feel like those two together would be really interesting to see in either. All these are for either or. I'd say for me and Robert in Fandom, and Warzone could work. In Fandom, peek behind the curtain, we have not heard officially if Chance is done or staying yet. He's been pulling out of a lot of leagues recently, so I would put Chance and Robert as a team just for dominance, or I would put Chance and Chance and Gregory on a team would be an interesting dynamic, I think, in Fandom or Warzone. A lot of fun options there. Ryan Permison and Robert Parker would be really fun, especially with recent developments. But yeah, there's a lot of good options.
And as for me, I would pair myself with the only person other than Matthew Rosa that I would want to pair myself up with, and that's Jessica Morgan. We already have the mother and son of trivia joke going on, so I feel like just pair us as a team, and we can keep that joke going forever. Let's see, other teams. Who would you want to pair Harley with?
I would put Harley with Russell Howell, and that would be one of the most entertaining team matches ever. Because Russell is so reserved and Harley is so loud that those two together would be a hilarious team dynamic.
I would like to see that too. That sounds like a match made in hell, and it would be heaven for us. But as for the rest of this question, I would have to really sit down and think about it because I honestly don't know at the moment. But this seems like a good place to wrap things up. You got a match to go shoot. So let's call it a night. Where can the good people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Kaleb Koho. That is KalebKoho. You can find me on YouTube, Kaleb Koho, where I do music stuff and some film stuff. Koho Productions is predominantly my film channel. My new movie, Chick Part 2, is on Kaleb Koho on YouTube right now. It will be coming to Koho Productions later on this week. Officially, you can also find me running Fandom Fights over here on Multiplex Entertainment, and a lot of interesting storyline developments will be happening soon, so stay tuned very closely to the Multiplex Entertainment page. You can also find my album Shoot for Teens, which I did with my group The Forks back in February on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you consume your digital music. I don't look like a rapper. I am a rapper. And you can find me on basically any trivia league around the world. It's what I do. It's my bread and butter. It's fun. And yeah, so tune into Fandom Fights on Fridays and make sure you're on the Multiplex Entertainment Facebook group. There are a lot of interesting developments that will be coming up this week. So stay tuned.
And you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube at Nico Suave Regoli. It's spelled NicoSuaveRegoli. And you can find me here also helping out on Multiplex Entertainment. That's the name of the Facebook group, the YouTube channel. The Twitter is at MultiplexYT. The Instagram is at Multiplex Entertainment Network. We have a TeePublic checkout. Our team's new T-shirts, Afro Samurai and Kings of Winter. And as for matches I have coming up, it's going to be pretty much a me showcase from Thursday to Sunday in the next few days. I've got Afro Samurais taking on Equipo Asesino in Worldwide Movie Trivia Teams. Now on Friday, of course, I have my rematch with Jim in Fandom Fight. On Saturday, it's the long-awaited rematch in the Comic Book League between you and I, Mr. Koho.
It is. This is going to be fun. Jeffrey Dean Morgan will not be involved. It's going to be a fun match. Can't wait to do it. Grant,
there better be a fucking Bionicle question in there somewhere. Just please give me one. And as for Sunday, I'm taking on Irina Muha, making her debut in singles as well as my debut in singles over in Worldwide Movie Trivia. You're going to want to watch that match simply because of the ridiculous shit I do when questions aren't being asked. So there's a little teaser for you there. But this has been Around the League with Nico. Let us know how you guys like the new format where we're being a little more stats-based on everything. We're trying something different, seeing what people like, seeing what people don't like. I hope you're liking it. We're trying. But this has been Around the League with Nico. I'm Nico. That's Kaleb. Y'all have a great night.